Okay, we're less than a minute to go from the first race of the season finally on this November 17 with west winds 10 to about 18. The fleet is lining up late. There'll be no problems with recalls on this start, I don't think, unless there's a giant righty, which is still possible. Wasabi is starting to make their charge for the pin, but there's one boat they are going to have trouble getting over. It's number 20. On the other hand, with everyone being a little bit late, I think they could just head up and go over them without being over early. I think Wasabi's looking pretty good here. I don't have the timing, but I think Mike Cannon's got this. He does. Wasabi takes the pin. Maybe a little imperfect getting the jib in on time, but close. And now they're headed, but they can't tack, of course, because 22 gets the header. They could tack. Oh, they just zigzag instead. Of course, tacking might not have gotten very far. The boats up top are now just getting pitted, only a little. So these guys have actually gone fast in the header, and they could tack and probably cross the fleet anytime they wanted. Now 22 is getting lifted. It's going to make it a little harder. That's Saul Rosen on Santuza. They could tack and cross the fleet anytime they wanted. Mike Cannon can no longer do that. It's too far to leeward. Saul Rosen's in a spot here where they could just tack and cross the fleet. And I think they should do that and start getting up current. The rest of the fleet has split now. A lot of boats going off on port. And these boats continuing into the point. They got to be at least talking about it. I know Wasabi would like to tack, but they got to deal with Santuza. Okay, 19 is doing all right coming out in the middle. It's Frank McNamara and Phoebe, and they're actually getting a little bit. Oh no, they're tacking. I thought they were getting lifted. Now they're in good shape because those boats just kept going. I don't know what they hoped to get out of banging the corner when they were headed. But Frank is now lifted on port in the middle. And a number of boats are doing well out on the right. One of them tacked and righty. I can't quite see who that is. We'll check it out. I heard the crew on McNamara's Phoebe calling puff on. A good thing. They are looking good. They're in a long-lasting lifting blast. Well, down a touch now, but still lifting blast. Main flogging a bit, big breeze, lots of hiking. This boat's winning. Wow, massive header now. Didn't last forever. So Phoebe tacks. And tacking in back into another header. Oh, that's going to cost him. Meanwhile, 17's way down in the header. That's Dave Bryant. Not looking too good there. Bob Perry in 20. The boats that went extreme are still extreme. And is that 14 over there? Yeah, that's the boat that was winning. That's Fred Baker on Deke. And they've been winning the right, so to speak. Well, McNamara settled down after a rough go of attack and is certainly winning the middle by a lot. But if it holds right, Fred Baker and Deke in the right corner is going to come out ahead. That's Fred, lifted on starboard, and Deke has been lifted for a little while now, so making steady progress to overtake Frank for the lead. Fred's lift grows, and now clearly in the lead, Deke. The middle boats have been lifted on starboard and are looking like they could even challenge Frank. Frank's now hurting in a righty as he's on port, trying to get out of this upper left corner. Well, Fred's lift finally caved, but it's put him in the lead. Although these tacks are slow, everybody's tacks are slow. Some of the reluctance about tacking. Boy, what a difference a minute makes. Look at this horrible angle for Fred Baker compared to what he was on a minute ago. He's all the way down into Frank, who's lifted and doesn't want to tack. What's Frank gonna do? He's gonna dip. Good move. It's a pretty big dip. And he's almost into another boat, but he has room to do so. On Keith Fox, 24, right to leeward of him. But now in the lead, after a terrible start, is Dave Bryant, who had the righty that Fred got, but he had it in the middle of the course and was able to take it towards the upper left. Now he's got a lefty. However, this beat is never over until you're around the mark, because the closer we get to the first mark, the more the wind shifts. It's also longer than it looks because we're fighting current. Okay, there's our leader getting around the mark, just barely. And it's a beat to the offset in this header. So they're going to sail the beat before they start pre-feeding everything. Meanwhile, Frank will make it around a fast second. Really going well there. And here is Keith Fox on Stiletto. One of the boats that halfway up the beat played some good shifts in the middle. Next around is Jim Pettipaw on DeCapo. Ooh, trouble at the mark, and Fred Baker has tagged the mark. I don't know if he realizes it, but it certainly looked like it from here. And right behind him is the Sorcerer with Adrian Hurst steering the first race. 22 and 20, we have Saul Rawson on Santuza, who had the opportunity to play the shifts and did not. After a great start, Bob Perry on Raw, right to windward of them. Next up, it's Lars Carlson on Freedom. And then finally, Wasabi is coming in here after taking the pin start and never tacking on the first shift. John Dexter's usually really good. They must have missed some big shifts just going now. Next up is Jonathan Austin on Mars with the young high school team. Wasabi would be next around the mark. And there's the race class teams out there somewhere where I'm struggling a little bit. Frank McNamara preparing to go around the gate mark in second place. And he's chosen for the left gate, leave it to port. While Keith Fox rounds in third, the right gate. Mid-fleet here, no question Santuza is going to go around the near gate. While Warp Drive rounds the far gate. Justice and waves hit from a passing ferry. But sails are coming in pretty timely there. Current swept them away a little bit. To help the boat turn around a leeward mark, they consider bringing in the main slightly ahead of schedule and the jib slightly behind schedule to help the sails pivot the boat around the mark with less rudder, particularly as you're fighting current trying to get around the mark. Okay, second windward mark, and not a done deal for Dave Bryant. The leg's been pretty simple. He rounded the right gate mark, bang right, got breeze, came over across the middle, but at the windward mark, second windward mark, but it's light up here and it's hard because Frank McNamara is getting close. Let's watch McNamara's team get the pole up and ready to spinnaker for setting. Keeping a little in the bank for the current. Dave Bryant rounds as the chute goes up. Notice they set before they bear off. That allows the spinnaker to blow away from the boat. They brought the pole back a little early, but and there's also a hole right here. But McNamara's right there. I'm surprised he doesn't bear away hard and try to get away from the other boat. He's trying to stay up and fill the chute, but what if they just jibed? All right. Who's next? That would be Keith Fox on Stiletto. So Dave Bryant actually jibed first. Got across Frank's bow, but the jibe wasn't good. because they jibed into a shift and they should have kind of been prepared to jibe onto a reach. Since they were so lifted. The reason why it seemed like such a massive hole was because they were so lifted. And here's a boat, yeah, they're up to 4th. High school kids, boy, don't even put the pole on. Just jibe and then set. It's going to cost them. They're going to sail away in the lift instead of jibing towards the finish. Well, a shift didn't hold for 13. That's Jim Pennypod DiCapo. They're headed as they route. Okay, there's going to be some action. When Fred Baker, a bit tough luck, had a big lead on the first beat and never could completely consolidate. Yeah, you can't tack until the inside boat says, I'm tacking. Uh-oh, did they tack too soon? Can't tell. A real bit of a struggle to make it around that mark. Unlike for John Dexter, who will, he's making a comeback here. He's past the mid-fleet chunk. And if he passes Fred, he'll be up to 6th. There's some good boats in there with Fred Baker and Bob Perry. And Lars is next. So Dexter's team doesn't quite have the chute up all the way. I don't see anyone looking up. Oh, I think somebody finally noticed it. Do something about it? So that's about 6. We've got 5 boats strung out now heading for the finish.